Hi, and you're very welcome to the fourth episode of the Leitrim GAA podcast here on finalwhistle.ie/Leitrim Daily/Leitrim GAA.ie. It's all a big conglomerate of everything we've been up to for the last little while. Once again, I'm joined by Derek Kelleher, very sun-kissed, no more than myself. Derek, you got a bit of sun over the weekend?
Yeah, I got a lot of sun yesterday morning, and then it was a pity to have to come inside to watch the game, the Leitrim Lads game on GAA Go. But when you're looking at a lovely sunny field, I suppose when things are opening up slowly again, you can't wait to get a little bit of sunstroke. Any bit at all will keep us going, until September.
I had a trip to Antrim to the game, and I had the arm out the window for just sitting on the window for most of the way up, and the sun was beaming in on it. And on the way home, same. And throughout the game, I struggled to sleep last night with the sunburn on my right arm, but my face is showing it as well. But you know what? It's absolutely delightful to have those as problems in the current situation. To be back amongst a crowd of 500 people, and what a performance by Leitrim, particularly in that last maybe 15-20 minutes from that third quarter water break right through to the end. We're going to be speaking to Evan Sweeney later in the programme about his involvement, because I suppose he was really the catalyst. He was involved in everything good in that last 20-minute period of the game. Last kick of the game deprived Leitrim of their first points of the league campaign. And we've since found out that there will be no semi-final for Leitrim. That's the end of their league campaign because of, I suppose, the fixtures that have come out straight to a final, which means that Leitrim will be looking for friendly games over the next couple of weeks to build up to that championship fixture in just 5 weeks' time. Derek, in terms of the women, they had a big game also at the weekend. They played Derry in Ballinamore, a fairly straightforward victory there, scored 1-5 in the first 10 minutes, and then ran out comfortable enough winners, 118 to 7 points. The final score in Ballinamore puts 1 foot into the semi-finals for the girls. The hurlers not in action this weekend, but all three teams, the footballers won't be, the ladies footballers and the hurlers in action in their final group games in the Hurling League and the Ladies Football League, respectively, on Sunday. We'll chat about that later in the show. We'll be talking to Evan Sweeney, as we mentioned. We'll also be hearing from Sinead Tighe about her involvement in the Leitrim team and a look at the fixture list that came out from Leitrim GAA. We might start with that before we go back to the inter-county game at the weekend. Derek, Leitrim, I know, have been waiting for a couple of months now, 8 months, for that intermediate final to take place against Annaduff. There's a fixture for it. There's a weekend for it at least, but also everybody else kind of knows where they stand now for the rest of the summer.
Yeah, I suppose it gives a little bit of planning for all the club players and a little bit of hope for everybody around, that if things open up a little bit more, as the government and the medical crew seem to be aiming at, that we might actually get to a game this year, even if it's further down the line. I think it's the 23rd, 24th of July is the penciled in for the intermediate final. I have to go and start sourcing a load of Leitrim gear again, because I left it up so long. The Leitrim flag actually turned into a Kildare flag. It was whiter than my whites that you put in the wash. So it devoured the weather that we had. So look, we'll be back again trying to get in Annaduff and Leitrim, and I think there's a junior final to be played as well. So getting back to try and get the excitement going for the kids that are out for the last 4 weeks, training in all the parishes and clubs and counties around Ireland. They'll be trying to get their colours out again and get that bit of excitement going. For the players involved, it'll be very hard to get motivated, because it's kind of the excitement. You're on a roll and you don't know whether you're playing or not, but the final has to be played. Of course, it'll be lovely for somebody to win it. But look, with the help of God, that it'll go ahead this time.
You'd be quite happy if Annaduff win the finals. What I'm taking out of that. Is that correct?
Well, I lived in Annaduff for 10 years and I kept playing with Leitrim. I'd nearly walked to Leitrim, so no, that's not what I'm saying.
We talk about the detail of that later on in the programme. But first, maybe let's get your thoughts on that game. I know you watched it yesterday afternoon. In terms of Leitrim, your thoughts on the game compared to where I suppose we had picked it up 7 days earlier. It's got to be a really big positive step in the right direction, particularly in that last quarter, as we've talked about.
Yeah, Breifne, look at for the first half, it was hard watching. We didn't win midfield. The amount of marks that Antrim pulled off was very visible compared to what we had pulled off. So our physical presence, or maybe our spatial presence, that there was clean catches been got, because we seem to in the first half be marking an awful lot of space and rushing the player with the ball, and Antrim were well able to put it in across the top into their full forward line, who are quite good now, to be honest. Half time, I presume that there was a lot of mothers on the phone, because I couldn't see, and if Terry Highland was able to change them that much at half time that they came out, I think there was a lot of family influence on it, I'd imagine. A different outfit in the second half. Enthusiastic. Look, at a lot of subs were made, maybe fresh legs. Evan Sweeney coming in, scoring 1-4. You know, in a kind of a game that you were playing for pride, you were playing for your place. But he showed when he came in, he didn't panic, got his hands on the ball, both feet, like kicking from left and right from 40, 50 yards over the bar. It lifted the spirits, to be honest, for anybody that was watching the game. It brought your pride back a little bit, because the pride is dented with a lot of people. I don't think our panel probably have dealt with the what has happened with COVID, be it at home or on the football field, as well as some counties. So we don't seem to be the fitness thing. We seem to be a little bit of a step off. Either, I don't know whether it's physical fitness or our mental fitness, that we're not at that pace. We look like the start of the league, and you needed to be coming in like a lot of teams, the Sligo, the Louths, coming in like you had about 5 games under your belt, and the ball handling not up, bringing balls into tackles and losing it. It was just a little bit, it looked like rustiness, and you can't afford it with a 3-game league. You can't afford rustiness. You know, the players need to take responsibility for what was done leading up to, along with management, leading up to it, and your own personal, what you had put into it and your thoughts, you know.
Yeah, the changes that came in yesterday, I suppose, to some it was empty in the bench, it was giving lads a chance, but a few people have really put their hand up to be considered for that championship game in a couple of weeks' time, because they showed something in a Leitrim jersey that maybe we haven't seen from the more established players who have been featuring up to now. In particular, we've mentioned Evan Sweeney. He's been getting all the headlines over the last couple of days, but also Niall McGovern came in around that 17-minute mark, or the 50-minute mark. David Brune appeared around then. Niall Brady also featured. Keith Keegan, I thought, had a huge impact, along with Mark Diffley in that second half. They came on at half time, of course, but those 5 or 6 names, they were involved in everything good that Leitrim did in an attacking sense in that final 20-25 minute period.
Yeah, look at when I said it earlier on, that probably fresh legs. Antrim had played a fairly powerful and explosive game. The lads that came on, 1 or 2 of them would have started before this, and I'd say they saw their opportunity and quite possibly took us to get back into the team. David Brune coming in, like it just added that little bit of explosiveness. I'm just wondering, is there 70 minutes of explosiveness, or is it a 25-minute game that we have for some of our panel? It kind of seemed to be coming near the end of the game, because some of our big players that would have been big players the year before last when we got promoted, they were off the pace, like fairly fairly and the thing of, like, whether you lose possession or not, you don't stand up after it and let other people work. Our work rate just wasn't there, whether we weren't focused. I can't explain it, to be honest, because you chase the ball until you're not able to chase it anymore, until you collapse on the ground. And if 15 fellas do that, you're going to be there or thereabouts. I know that we had a great 25 minutes, but I wouldn't like to be coming away thinking that all is rosy, because if you had a stronger team, like if we're going out against, we'd say there's a miracle and Sligo beat Mayo. Sligo will be twice as strong as they were in the league. Mayo will put out whatever team they want, and they're going to be powerful. 35-40 minutes of the way we played against Antrim, and we could be 40 points down, and that's no exaggeration. If Mayo wanted to pound us, you know.
Yeah, I suppose that opening 40 minutes that we haven't really talked about now, the first half, where we gave them a 10-point head start effectively, and they seem to be able to cut us open at will, because I know the goal that came through, I think it was Connor Stewart from midfield, and nobody tracked him. Nobody was able to keep with him. And it looked like it was an adult playing against maybe an under-16 team, the way they just cut us open at will. Oran Eastwood seemed to have the better of Paddy Maguire, and that's a rare enough event. And Paddy eventually got the better of him towards that period in the second half. But for the first half hour, whenever he wanted the ball, he just pointed where he wanted it. His teammates found him, and he found the space, and it just created havoc at the back for Leitrim. And that's something over the last 2 decades, since you filled those jerseys, back in the day, Leitrim was always around for having a really, really solid full back line, whether it was yourself, Dermot Reynolds, Michael McGuinness, John McKeown, with Gareth Phelan behind you. That back defensive unit was always Leitrim's last line of defence, and always probably the best performing element of the team. We don't seem to have that kind of tightness at the back that's keeping goals out. We conceded another 2 goals this weekend.
Yeah, but the only thing is, Breifne, like, the game has changed, and you can try and man mark. 70 minutes is a long time to try and be a casual contact, not a close contact of a corner forward or a full forward. Your half back line are pushed out the field. It's a real open game. There's the structure of your 6 backs, 2 midfielders, and 6 forwards. That doesn't exist anymore. It's just on the programme. So when you go out, you could have anybody. You have a sweeper in front, that I'd assume it was aiming at trying to limit the amount of ball going into the full forward line if we're playing Mayo or Sligo. But I don't think we're not effective enough. The half back line seem to be pulled out, and whenever the ball is kicked in, like, there's excellent ball going in. So you have about 20-30% chance of getting a ball when the corner forward, and we'll say the wing back, when they know and they've practiced in training the ball over and back. So it's a bit of a different game. It's harder because of the structures. They're just collapse. You seem to wait, let people come at you, and we're not quick enough to break. We're not deadly enough. The Dublins, the Kerrys, when they break, there's generally a score at the end of it. We're not. We're running on maybe a third of all of our breaks out. We're not doing it at pace. Paddy Maguire has pace. He's the standout out of the whole lot. Some of our stronger players, we don't have pace. The Antrim crew, you could visibly see it, that they were stronger on their we'll say speed, endurance. You can run around the field 20 times. That's brilliant, and still walk out at the end of it. But you don't need to do that in a game. You need to know where the ball is going, learn about the players that you're playing against. Quite possibly, as we done it years ago, entice them into playing it where you want them to give it. Give the space, because I don't know where the thinking is going. And I know that it was more than Evan with the younger lads coming in. But I want to see leadership. I want to see somebody standing up at 26 years of age and beating his chest and saying, listen, I'm here. We'll lead, lads. Come on. Encourage all around you. Not everybody's struggling themselves. You need 2 or 3 leaders, no matter how low things are. So at this point, some of the lads are going to have to stand up. And I know that you can have brilliant players or very good county footballers that are very quiet individuals. That's not what we need. We need somebody to come out with their skin and demand the performance from the people around, because you can't be relying on the sideline, the supporters, the club structure. You need to rely on the people that are around you, and it has to hurt when you lose. And it doesn't seem to hurt anymore. It's a long time since it hurt.
In terms of where that leadership might come from, we know the personnel that are in the squad this year. I suppose Keith Byrne will be someone that people would look to. Also, Mark Plunkett has been impressive in each of the 3 games, despite the results. Where Paddy Maguire, obviously, as you mentioned, has been probably head and shoulders the best player on the field for Leitrim in the last 3 games. Where is that going to come from? Are we looking to those 3? Are we looking to any other names you might see coming in there?
Well, we need Brendan Flynn in the goals to control his 6 backs. That's really it. Stephen Cluxton controls them. The minute he has the ball, they'll dance to his tune, to where he wants to kick it to. They don't tell him, because he has only 3 kicks in a 5-yard run up where he can play it. So they know exactly what he's going to do. So Brendan needs to be demanding, because it's a hard game. I know when you try, and the way the game has gone, that you're trying your short kickouts, your quick ones, backfired at one stage. It'll always backfire in a game. Once in a game, you might be lucky to get away with it, and other times you're not lucky to get away with it. But I don't think it's the losing of any of these games. Like in the Sligo game, it wasn't the losing of it. It was gone before that. So we're looking at our, like, we need a strong 15 minutes at the start of the first half, the start of the second half. It's the only way it's going to give us a chance. Then you have 20 minutes to play with to try and steady the ship down, because like if any of these teams get on top of you, especially the Mayos or the Sligos, because that's what we're looking at now. This is the start and end of our year. We'll have one date to play either of them teams, and the lads either pull it together, and like, we want the supporters, we want to get the flags out, we want a bit of pride, we want to get back to where we were 2 years ago, wearing your colours around the place. So I hope that the lads will pull it together, and with Terry, and no matter what the future holds going into next year, I know we're back down to Division 4, playing Division 4, extreme Division 4 football at the minute. You know, we can't say that we're not performing. Well, we're not performing, but it doesn't look like we have it in us at the minute, with whatever has gone on through probably the lack of collective training, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's something that will be a worry. Do we look fit, in your opinion?
We don't look fit, but it's easy to not look fit on a television, because you're not getting to the ball and you're leaving late tackles. Like Keegan, he said earlier that he made an impression when he came on. That's lack of training, lack of concentration. 2 yellow cards for late pulls. That's not acceptable at inter-county level. Do you know? So whether you're strong at going forward on the ball, there's an awful lot more mentally, and Keith will have to concentrate on, don't do that. That's the one thing that lets you down, to not be on the field, because they were looking at the 2 sendings off in the 3 games, like, quite possibly cost us 2 wins and a semi-final place. Like, it's as simple as that.
Referee's performance yesterday, I know there was a very obvious upset on the Leitrim bench, at least, for a very late incident in the game, well into injury time. 6 minutes of injury time, probably a minute or two too long, but I can't overly disagree with it. But there was a suspicion of a throw ball on right in front of the Leitrim bench on the far side of the pitch from where I was doing the commentary for Ocean, and you could see it was obviously he didn't play the ball, but the referee was adjudged to have been fouled. Leitrim bench to a man said absolutely not. Now we have to take with a little bit of bias there as well, but it's frustrating when you've brought yourself back into the game for those little refereeing decisions to go against them. Now, I didn't think the referee had a bad game, because obviously we got the advantage of the 2 black cards, which probably helped us come back into it around halftime, but also particularly in that final 10 minutes of the game.
Yeah, look, I think probably I won't call it a moment of madness, a moment of passion that we hadn't seen in the last month, and possibly last year as well, that everybody was on the same wavelength, whether things were going good in the camp or not. It actually brought us all onto the one wavelength, and at the end of the day, it didn't make any difference. That's all that we can talk about from the game. It wasn't the means of getting into a semi-final or not. It was probably great to get the win, but the win was only another score or 2. It's how we got to the point of being so close to winning the game. That's what matters. So I wouldn't get too caught up in that. You know, you need a little bit of controversy. You know, we all love it.
Absolutely. And well, listen, we might as well see what the mood is like in the camp now that you're talking about it. And I suppose we'll have a little chat with the star of the week, really, the man of the moment, Evan Sweeney, who scored 1-4 for Leitrim on Sunday afternoon. Evan Sweeney, it's been an eventful couple of days for you. More than a cameo on Sunday. Came on with about 20 minutes to go and kind of blew the game up. 1-4. You must be delighted with the impact and the performance, and I suppose not quite the result, but with the overall impact you made on the game on Sunday.
Yeah, it was good to get minutes on Sunday. All right, I suppose personally, it just happened to fall for me. All right, coming in and getting on ball and just making things happen. But yeah, I suppose it's mixed emotions. We're proud of the way we battled there for the last 15-20 minutes. But I suppose looking back, really, it's disappointment that we didn't hold on. But we will take a lot from that 20-minute period.
And come here, Evan, I might just ask a question on that. And I do go from different angles, and people are wondering, what on God's earth is this South Leitrim fella talking about? But look at coming on, and we were all watching on GAA Go, and it's simple for us watching. You come on, you put over some savage points from your left and your right foot. It was like a fantastic performance in a championship game for a fella that was going to rip his jersey off, really concentrating. But sitting on a bench, waiting to get going in a game the way that it was going, explain, just for anybody that be listening, how do you keep your focus? How do you decide, I'm coming on here, I'm going to do something?
Yeah, it's a difficult one. I suppose when you're coming in from the subs, you're always trying to keep an eye on the play and kind of, I suppose, looking at different patterns of play and things like that. But I suppose on a whole, we spoke a lot about kind of pride during the week, and we were just very disappointed with our league campaign. There have been some positives there, but I suppose we just wanted to get a performance yesterday. So just coming in, I suppose you're just trying to make something happen. You're trying to be positive, and you're trying to really just kind of help the cause. But I thought we rallied really, really well, especially in the last 20 minutes. But some days the thing was just the ball was kind of falling to me in the right place and that, but another day I go out and it'll be the total opposite. So yeah, again, we're just really kind of happy with the last 20 minutes, and we'll use that kind of, we've got a bit of momentum now going into the next 5-6 weeks. So
I'm not sure you're doing yourself enough of a service when you say it just happened to be a bit lucky in the right place at the right time. I think there was something you brought to that kind of performance of that evening that we haven't seen from many Leitrim players in the last couple of weeks, and that was just that intensity and that kind of just prepared to put the work in, not just on the score, because that's where you get the column inches, but every time a player was in trouble, you were always the out ball. And whether that was in space on the other side of the pitch or just off his shoulder, you just seemed to be in the right place at the right time on Sunday. And maybe it was just a purple patch, but what makes that happen for you on the game? And it's not just as simple as look. Like, is it a conscious decision that I'm just going to burst through walls to help whatever I can to get the result?
Yeah, it's a hard one to put your finger on. I suppose if you look back at our 3 games, the broader point is probably we're playing in fits and starts. We're playing for 15 and 20 minute intervals. So you could just see that yesterday. We started well. We went into our shell again, and then we let Antrim even start well in the second half, and then we played. But as regards coming on, I suppose, yeah, it's we spoke about it during the week. It's no small feat to put on the Leitrim jersey. It's lads are trying to do the right thing. We're trying to move forward as a group. So yeah, I suppose it's trying to really, every time you take the field, put your best foot forward. Really, there was no big speeches or anything beforehand, but I think we all wanted to just kind of perform well, and we didn't do that for the 60 or 70 minutes, should I say, but we at least finished well. So
yeah, I suppose it gives from watching it at home, excuse me, and from playing years ago, briefly for whatever length of time, 5 or 6 years, it hurts when Leitrim loses, and it still does when you're at home. You take that little bit, it gives you a bit of a knock. It's not a thing that you can just walk on and get on with it. And I would have said it before that, and for over the years, that I'd hope that at some stage we get that it really knocks everybody that's involved when you lose, that you don't want to see anybody. Maybe that was the old style sort of stuff, and there's a lot of distractions now. We didn't have mobile phones then. Do you know what I mean? To kind of take your mind off it. So you lived with the defeat for a week and you had to deal with it. But hopefully, like, coming into the championship game, and like there's lots of weeks back together is a massive thing. We're all going to be talking about, is there going to be the same management? What sort of a panel will be there next year? Blah, blah. The usual stuff that the media love and the controversial people love. I don't, well, I'll talk about it a little bit, but I think it defies the overall purpose of our 40-year plan to try and win a Connacht championship, for example. But like one thing that, and this is just for, we'll say, the younger crew. I'm over it I've 2.5-year-olds up to 5-year-olds wobbling around the pitch now, and they're in their Leitrim jerseys. There's 20 under 5s. like they're going to be looking up to the likes of yourself in a couple of years when they're watching the television with their daddies and their mammies. So like when you're coming across, what motivated you to do, never mind about the balls dropping to you, when they got into your hand, you had options to do whatever you done, and what you done was the right option. What motivated you, or how did you keep a level head to just have the confidence to take that shot and keep taking them? That's just a question I have.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. I suppose, I suppose I've made lots of mistakes over the years and probably will make more mistakes going forward. So you're just kind of maybe learning from past mistakes and things like that. But yeah, I suppose you're just, Terry, has talked about backing ourselves. That was kind of, one thing he tried to bring into us a couple of years ago. So, there's times we haven't done that, but there's times we have kind of brought that out onto the field as well. So yeah, there was no just kind of really play it as you see it. But obviously we had to bring a bit of urgency to the game because, we were 10 and 11 points down at the time, and, our performances just haven't been good enough this last 3 games. We really felt like we've made progress now this into our 3rd year now. So we've made progress, yes, and there are some positives there, but we're still not winning games, So I suppose it just kind of stemmed from that. A bit of frustration during the week, and as you touched on there, Derek, like we were all very disappointed after the game last weekend, and I think we were all hurting a little bit. So we just need to, I suppose I don't know the answer yet, but we just need to kind of put our finger on why we're not performing for 70 minutes, because we seem to be outplaying teams for 10 and 15 minutes and getting 6-7 points on the trot. But it's the other 15-minute intervals then we need to work on. But that's kind of it in a nutshell, really.
On a personal level, Evan, I suppose you've been named in the starting lineup in the programme in each of the 3 games so far. You've only actually started one of them. Is that disappointing to kind of see your name on a team announcement and then find out maybe either before or after that you're not going to be featured? Because I'm sure it brings with it those texts from people going, oh, I see you're in the team today. And then you're like, you've got that almost, well, actually, no, I'm not. And you kind of have to deal with that situation. What's that like as a player? Because it can't be easy either.
Yeah, it's a tricky one. All right, I suppose to be fair, we do have a panel of 34 now, and we have some strong younger players that have come in, particularly last year, and who come in at the start of last year. Now the COVID, obviously the 2 condensed season, we haven't got a full kind of run at it with them, but yeah, you're just kind of playing it as you go, really. And if you're starting great, you get in and try and do the best. But you saw yesterday, like there was some new lads. I know Tom Pryor made his debut yesterday, and David Brune has kind of been in this year as well and has started most games and came on yesterday. And there's lots of other lads there too, kind of pushing on the fringes that you will see, I'd say, maybe either later this year or into next year and that. So, yeah, I suppose really you just kind of go with it. But there's good competition there, and there is even yesterday, there's a couple of lads to come back into it as well. So, just as I kind of said earlier, like the momentum thing, it's just mixed emotions. Obviously, we really were disappointed we didn't hold on to the draw, but we at least have a bit of momentum now to bring in kind of the next 5-6 weeks, really,
Of course, it is that 5 weeks to the 11th of July, Mayo or Sligo, the opponents. I suppose from a Leitrim supporters' point of view, what is I suppose just to wrap up, what's the chances for Leitrim? Can Leitrim get through that game? I suppose there's not many people outside of the county that will give us a snowball's chance in hell of beating probably either Sligo or Mayo at this point, particularly Mayo. What's the mood within the camp? Is there a possibility of pulling off probably one of the biggest shocks in recent years in Gaelic football?
We haven't really spoke about it yet. It was just kind of focused on the league. So we'll get back in now this week. And like you said there, we at least have a nice block. We have, I think it's 5 weeks from this Sunday. So we have a nice block to prepare for that. But just kind of touched on what I said earlier, like it's irrelevant who you're playing, really. It's it's no small feat to kind of to represent Leitrim and that. And we kind of feel like we have lots of ability, so be it whoever you're playing, it's an opportunity to kind of express your skills and express what we can do kind of on a national level. So yeah, just kind of looking forward to the next few weeks as well, coming into the summer as well. So.
And before we let you go, we better just wrap up with we obviously are sponsored by winawedding.ie this year. Any need for that in your life? Have you bought a ticket yet? Any chance we'll see you in Lochrain at some point in the next couple of years with a nice ring, white dress, somebody nice?
Very slim chance of that now, Breifne, but no panic on that. But it's a great initiative now, and it seems to be gathering momentum. So good from that side of it.
You do have a couple of years to use it, though, so you never know. We won't give up hope on you just yet. Evan Sweeney, you were definitely firing on all cylinders on Sunday. Congratulations. Despite the result, the performance definitely gave a little bit of a pep back into everybody involved in Leitrim GAA's step over the last couple of days. So thanks very much for that. And the best of luck over the next couple of weeks into the championship against Mayor Sligo and beyond. The new fixtures out as well, of course. We'll be talking about that later in the programme. Evan, thanks for joining us.
Evan,
thanks very much. Thank you.
Take care.
Well, one person who definitely has no need in her world for a wedding because she's just got married in the last couple of months over the new year is Leitrim fullback Sinead Tighe, and she joins us now. Sinead, you definitely no plans for a second wedding anytime soon? You're happy enough? It's going well? Everything's sorted?
Yes, yeah, no, we were delighted to get it done. So no, I won't be planning another wedding anytime soon.
Good to hear. Well, obviously, let's talk about football because that's why we're on the show. And we have, I suppose, another really fine performance from Leitrim Ladies over the weekend. A good, solid victory over Derry, 118 to 7 points. I suppose, tell us, what's the mood in the camp after the victory?
Good, yeah. I suppose, firstly, delighted with the victory and, with the 2 points. But, I suppose there's a lot of us maybe weren't fully happy with their performance, and we felt there was lots of room there for improvement. So, it's a great position to be in that you've gotten the win, but we know we've loads of work still to do, and looking forward to just trying to build each week, and improve and grow and develop as a team. So definitely things are going well, but we know we've a long way to go as well.
Very good. And Sinead, do you mind if I might come in there for a second? In regards to that, and I would have asked a question probably of some of the lads' teams and the hurlers as well, with all the COVID restrictions, like leading us into, we'll say, the last month when the teams could get together for training and get back into normality as we know it. How are all the girls coming in fitness-wise and focus-wise into your first couple of training sessions? Because I know it's hard. You only have a number of weeks before you're playing your first league game, and it's very hard. You really want to be concentrating on team rather than anything got to do with fitness, ball and team and sticking together. How did everybody come in, or was it seemed to be a success for you, obviously, with the results you're getting?
Yeah, I think, it's probably testament to the group that are there, and to the management. We had our plans and everybody worked extremely hard, throughout the lockdown individually. You had your program, you had your trainings to do, and everyone got it done, in fairness. And it was always good, on the group, everyone was communicating, and you could see that the work was being done. So I suppose that meant when we got back onto the field, it was very much able to get on with football. And I suppose you're still working on the fitness and that, we'd be working on that all year, but yes, we had a base there that we were able to build from. But that was definitely down to the hard work of the girls. Everybody went out and did it, and we all wanted to do it. We wanted to improve. We wanted to hit the ground running, and be as fit as we could be. So and it was great. We had super plans and stuff from management that we were able to implement ourselves. So yeah, definitely, I think it made that transition easier, and we were obviously just all delighted to get back together and get back training. So everyone hit the ground running.
Yeah, in terms of was the game on Sunday, and obviously the Louth game the previous week was a reversal from last year. Louth had beaten you in the league last year. You had a much bigger victory against Derry last year. It was probably kind of a unfair, almost a matchup. Just Derry never really got into the game. This year, a lot tighter. You scored 1-5 in the first 10 minutes, and then all of a sudden, it kind of just petered off a little bit. There was almost visible after watching the game back this morning. There was an awful, almost kind of the the level just seemed to drop off a little bit for Leitrim. When you talked about maybe the performance not being where you'd like it to be, is that a concern going forward, that when you come up against stronger teams down the line, whether it's league semi-finals or finals or in the championship, that Leitrim need to work on that over the next couple of weeks and months?
Yeah, I suppose, as you say, we got off to a good start. And, you know, definitely they brought huge intensity during those periods in the first half. You know, so we kept with them and, you know, kept working at it. But there's definitely room there for, you know, for improvement. And, you know, when we chatted at half time, we knew we could all do much better. So, you know, we came out in the second half and I think we were much better in defence and, you know, converting those attacks up front as well. So, you know, there's definitely lots of areas and lots of places we can improve and work on. But, you know, it's a great position to be in. We're really looking forward to the game next weekend and, you know, looking forward to a big performance as well, hopefully, and to push on.
Very good. Yes, great, Sinead. We started, and you know Gartletra fairly well anyway, so you would. Yeah. That's one thing you can't deny anyway. The Gartletra side of it. We have massive numbers at underage level now that have come out. We haven't seen the likes of it before, and this year, and I'd assume that it's got to do with COVID, got to do with parents wanting to get out, but the increase in the number of girls that are out in the pitch, like we're looking at 20 under fives, and we have 5 boys and we have 15 girls. Like the numbers are increasing dramatically, and I see it like with the lady coaches and the fellas working together. Like I suppose with the sponsorship of the Ladies GAA, hitting the television, social media, all of that sort of stuff. Like the youngsters are mad for football, so they are, especially the girls. Like the fellas, it was always kind of a historical thing that was there, but it's really coming now. And I have to hand it to yourselves and all your teammates and all the age groups going down at county level. It's fantastic, and the advertisement for Ladies GAA, like we're starting to come, which I think is brilliant. It's starting to come to a power, especially with Breifne and this sort of a platform that you have a voice and use it as good as you can, like, you know. So I'd like to compliment all the players. And is there anything that you would say to any, because I know that you would have been in that 10 years ago or 15 years ago, whatever the case may be, at that age, a little bit of advice to the young girls that are training away and looking forward to hopefully playing in the Leitrim jersey?
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you, Derek. And like, there's been huge investment over the last couple of years, even as a player. Like the exposure you have now is huge. Like, even, you know, just from the league point of view, there, like all of those games are streamed live. You're able to go back and watch them during the week. Like, that's absolutely incredible. You know, it was never heard of before. You know, you might see a league final on the telly at a push, but you certainly wouldn't be, you know, have access to you know, a Division 4 league game live streamed. So from that point of view, I think that exposure is only going to drive everything on, and, as you say, encourage more and more people to get involved. So I suppose that's huge credit to, you know, Lidl have invested massively in it, TG4 as well, and Ladies Gaelic for giving that platform to do it. And I suppose from what you're saying about the underage is fantastic, and I see it myself. I coach the underage down in Considerably on a Saturday morning, so we do have great fun. But you see the numbers coming out, and you know, we made a move a couple of years ago and set up the girls' academy as well, so that they're not training together. And you know, sometimes that even encouraged, you know, even more girls to come out, because I suppose when they got to a stage of maybe 8 or 10, you know, they were finding it tough, I suppose, to compete with the boys. Whereas, you know, when they're on their own, they might have that little bit more confidence playing and training and stuff. And we see the same. You see huge numbers coming out, and they absolutely love it. You know, and it's great crack for an hour on a Saturday morning, and you try and use up as much energy as they have, but they keep going all day. You know, they love playing and training and stuff. So, like you say, that's what you're trying to do is give them, you know, role models that they can aspire to play for Leitrim hopefully one day. And yeah, you know, I think it's a really great time to be involved and to be playing. It's really exciting, and it's great to be part of it.
Yeah, speaking of youngsters coming through, there are a couple of girls who've broken into that squad and into that starting 15 over the last couple of weeks. We've seen the likes of Abby Sweeney coming in there beside you, Rebecca Rooney, another one who's played in the defence for Leitrim over the last few weeks. Who has impressed you, or which players have impressed you coming through that I suppose we've been aware of them through the club scene, but now we're seeing them in the Leitrim jersey and winning in National League games?
Yeah, I think there's a brilliant, bunch of youth that have made that step up, even this year or going back to last year. And I suppose that's one of the huge advantages of our panel at the moment, is that you have a really great blend of youth and, more experienced players there, so whether it's in training or in games and stuff, you have such a great blend there, and everyone really drives each other on. There's huge competition there, and it doesn't matter if you've been playing for 5 years or if it's your first year in. Everyone is given that equal chance and equal opportunity, and I think that's what's giving those young girls confidence as well. They're well able to perform on the big stage, and it's fantastic to see them coming on and making such an impact, and starting and doing really, really well in the last 2 games, and hopefully in the future as well. It's really positive and really good for the team.
Yeah, I suppose finally, everyone's attention now turns to the game against Antrim at the weekend. It's a bit of a trek. The boys had to do it this week. The girls do it on Sunday. You'd go in as favourites to this game, but you've got one foot already in the semi-finals, where you'll possibly face the winners of the other group, or the second place team in the other group, which will be decided between a game between Carlow and Limerick this weekend. What's the plan going in? Will we see more youngsters coming through, getting a half an hour here, 25 minutes there to have a look at and see what's there? Because, or will it be a case of let's win the game, get the job done first, and then maybe look at blood and players?
Yeah, I think definitely the priority will be to win the game. And, in terms of the team, we don't even know who's going to be starting or playing. I think that's what's keeping everything so fresh. There's just massive competition there. We get back together Wednesday night, Friday night, and training is just, it's brilliant at the moment. There's great energy there, and everybody is like I say, pushing each other on. So definitely the focus is to, get the performance, get the win on Sunday. And yeah, that's what we're kind of fully focused on at the moment. So please God, we'll deliver.
Excellent. Well, listen, congratulations on a fine win at the weekend, and the very best of luck up in Antrim on Sunday. I'm sure we'll be looking at plenty of success for Leitrim in the season ahead with the girls.
Great. Thanks a million. Thank you very much.
Sinead Tighe there. Fantastic work from the ladies over the last couple of, I suppose, the last 2 or 3 seasons to really pull themselves back out of a really, I suppose, unfortunate situation they found themselves in on and off the pitch. And there's really, really bright future ahead for the Leitrim ladies on and off the pitch. Good work there by Hugh Donnelly and the girls making themselves available. In terms of, at the top of the show, we talked about the club fixtures, and the master fixture plan was released by Leitrim's CCCC. I'm not quite sure what the C stand for, but they do decide everything to do with the club fixtures through the season, in terms of all the discipline and all the fixtures and everything that comes with the club championships and the leagues. And the good news is, from everybody's point of view, is that we have a league this year. We didn't have one last year because of COVID, obviously, and we will be looking at a non-county player competition at all division levels, starting on Saturday and Sunday, the 19th and 20th of June. So just 3 more weeks to wait in terms of, well, 2.5 by the time people get to see this or listen to this, in terms of competition. And it'll be great to see teams back out on the pitch playing games against each other again. It's been a bit too long, Derek.
Yeah, look, I think it's the first bit of stability that all club players and county players have had. We'll talk about Leitrim here. I know it's happening across the whole country, but stability is, I think, from here on in, there mightn't be too many, we'll say, sun holidays. So families will know the weekends that there's games, whether they want the training leading up to them. And hopefully we will get in, and partners, children, whatever extended family will get to see games again, because we're craving that. We're craving the football schizophrenic at the back of the stand. We miss him and her so much for the last 2 years, that we're walking away going, what was that about? But we miss that sort of stuff, and the outlet for people, for their mental health of players and everybody else, it's a big one. Like, so looking forward to this year's competition. I'd say, like, I started a kind of a fitness class a week ago, and it's when you concentrate on what you're doing and focus for an hour. The last time I done that in training was back in, was it 2001 was the last time I played with Leitrim. That was inter-county football training, when you focus for an hour, nothing else in your life mattered. So it was great to get out to that and talk to 9 other fellas that were at training. So anything like that to get people together, it's wonderful, and to get the youngsters going, watching the games even, or going to them, hopefully.
Yeah, absolutely. This will run in conjunction with the senior inter-county season, both hurling and football, as well as the under-20 football panel, and none of those players will be allowed participate in those county leagues this year. In terms of that, the under-20s are in action. They play Roscommon probably Tuesday or Wednesday, the 6th, 7th of July, midweek of that week. They could be out the following week in a semi-final, with a final to be played the following week after that. So we're looking at the mid-July. The under-20 championship, as it is now, will be played out. Whether that's 1 game, 2 game, or 3 will remain to be seen over the next couple of weeks. Sligo will wait in the semi-final, so it really is an opportunity for Leitrim to push on with a chance of Mayo or Galway in a final, should they get that far. There's a really good bunch of lads. Some of them we saw in the senior squad over the last couple of weeks, the likes of Tom Pryor coming through, Paul Keeney, we've talked about on the show before as well, and there's plenty of others coming through that should give that underage side, the under-20 side, a little bit of backbone. 4 weeks to their first game. Obviously, Mayo and Leitrim, they're out in the first round of the hurling championship the weekend of the 3rd and 4th of July. That will be round 2 of the All-County League. And they face Donegal the following weekend. The Nicky Rackard final, should they get there, to be played on the 31st of July. And of course, the Connacht Senior Championship kicks off as well, the 11th of July, down for that game. Mayo or Sligo await. And Mayo, it will be in McHale Park, while Sligo would be in Carrick. And the final, if we get there, is the weekend of the 25th of July. In terms of how the county or the club scene pans out, we've 5 dates down for those, starting the weekend of the 19th to 20th of June, and also right through to the 17th of July, with the finals of those penciled in for the 24th, 25th of July, same weekend as the Connacht final. And that weekend, I suppose, takes on an even bigger significance for 4 teams in the county, your own side included, Derek. Gortletcher will face Anaduff in the intermediate final that weekend, the 25th of July. It's penciled in for. We'll get firmer details from the CCCC later on in the programme, or later on in the summer, should I say. The Junior A final between Havas and Clune will also take place that weekend, and the Junior B final, which still has to be played from last year, is scheduled for the weekend after. Of course, those league finals will be pushed a week if any of those 4 teams we mentioned do reach the final of their league in that round. All of those games wrapped up by the start of August, and that's when the fun starts. First weekend in August, 7th, 8th, will be the start of the Senior Football Championship, and really for the club players in the county and for our coverage here on the show, and that's going to be the main focus through the summer. Plenty of action. It was such a delight to have a really competitive league season last year, and I think we're going to see plenty of the same. It's going to be sunshine. It's going to be played through the month of August. It's how club football should be, Derek. From a supporter's point of view, from a former player's point of view, and someone involved with Gortletcher, you don't know yet whether it's going to be the senior championship or the intermediate championship. You'll only get maybe 2 weeks of a lead in. It's not much prep time, either for the preparation required for senior football or having to deal with the disappointment if you're back in that intermediate grade again this year.
Yeah, look, at Breifne, championship is championship. It'll be decided intermediate or senior in the game against Anaduff. I'd be hoping that it'd be senior, but still, at the end of the day, you have 2 weeks. What are you going to do in 2 weeks that's going to prepare you for either or? You have to be prepared to play championship football and leave everything on the field when you get out to play, and make sure that you're able to play, because look, it's going to be tight going. Players have been out for the last number of months doing their own training sessions, virtual training sessions. road running Everton. I would have said it a couple of weeks ago on the programme that we've seen people, we start inquiring who's running the road and who is this individual and that individual. So we're actually seeing the players out in our community that we didn't see before, because they were in behind, you could basically say, closed doors, because nobody went to the park to see who was there. You might recognise somebody in a game. Now it's starting to get a bit more local and a little bit more support involved, because we all need it. The players need it, family need it, supporters. We are mad for a good game of football, and to get together to complain about it, to preach about how great we were years ago and how things haven't changed and blah blah. But at the end of the day, we want sport back again, and it's nearly like it would have been said by it was Shane Ward years ago that managed Leitrim. He was very fond of saying the reset. We'll hit the reset button. Now my reset button, I'd be wiped altogether. I'd be walking around in circles. But if you're talking about trying to reset, if you could just reflect on where we're at, and I know there was comments about the standard of Leitrim football. This is an opportunity now for players that have actually trained by themselves, to put in a big effort. The distraction of everything that we fell foul for the last 25 or 40 years, and any scandal that ever came out of Roscommon or Leitrim or any of the counties that talked about it, Dublin and Kerry, there was never a drinking scandal or somebody not turning up to training scandal. It only seems to happen in some of the weaker counties, or where we're our own worst enemy, to be honest, because everybody makes mistakes. Now there's an opportunity, and people realise that sport is plays a massive part in our lives, for our children, for our families. It gives us a source of entertainment, something to talk about, and that we have an opinion that people will listen to, because we all have an opinion about COVID, and none of us know anything about it. We think we do. So look, at once we get into the first couple of games, hopefully we'll be seeing new players. And like as you said about the under-20s going out, some of these players, I'd like to see one or two that might stake a claim on a senior side 2 weeks later. It has happened before. We had the likes of the Fintan McBryans, the Jimmy Guckins years ago, the Adrian Charleses years ago, that were excellent early on. Now, I had to wait a little bit longer. I just wasn't the prodigal child, I had to work a little bit harder at it. But that's what we're looking to see. Like, these young lads, come in, show us when we're watching the games, show us what you're about. Not like what happened in the Antrim game, where you see a man getting a black card for abusing the referee. That's really, yet people looking around wondering, what was that all about? So this is the opportunity now to actually go out and show what you're made of. Blend in with everybody else and give us something to talk about. Fill up the Leitrim Observer, fill up our programs, and let us get back on the summer road.
Absolutely, it promises to be a fantastic weekend or season ahead for everybody, from county teams right down to all clubs at all levels within the county. Of course, as we mentioned, the championship does throw in on the 7th, 8th of August. We can expect a similar setup to last year, where all the teams playing around the same time. It'll create that kind of atmosphere again. Hopefully we will have bodies back into grounds, at least in some sort of numbers, for that stage of the season. I think things are looking pretty good for that. And of course, the county final scheduled for Sunday, the 17th of October, all things going well. And of course, we will say this with the proviso that everything is dependent on regulations and guidelines from both the Gaelic associations and also from the government, really, over the next few weeks and months, as we hope everything comes back to somewhat relative normality. Derek, before we go, we better look at the fixtures for the weekend ahead. And of course, our footballers not in action this weekend, at least in competitive fare. There has been an announcement from the GAA that there will be no semi-finals in Division 4 this year. Sligo will proceed on to the final against Wexford, where they will play them. Leitrim had expected to play them at the weekend or in 2 weeks' time, but that won't happen now because of Sligo's involvement in the first round of the Connacht Championship against Mayo a couple of weeks later. They're going to give them as much time as possible. Leitrim's lost. We now have to go and find some teams to play against over the next couple of weeks to prepare for whoever lies in store in 5 weeks' time. In terms of the hurlers, they are in action on Sunday afternoon, 2 p.m. throw-in in Park Sean McDermott. That game will be live on Leitrim GAA.ie and on Leitrim GAA's YouTube channel. I'll be providing the commentary from that game on Sunday afternoon. Would love to have you involved, but at the same time, the girls are in action. They make the trip up to Antrim, and that game also free to watch on I think, I'm not quite sure where it's free, but if you check out ladies.gaelic.ie and the Leitrim GAA social media, you will find that I would imagine it'll be on the YouTube channel for Ladies Gaelic as well. But both those games streamed live. Get your fix for the weekend. And don't forget, of course, Leitrim GAA Supporters Club is open for membership at the moment. €5,000 first prize. All that information on leitrimsupportersclub.ie. And for those of you in the need for it, winaweding.ie. Obviously, €25,000 wedding up for grabs, 150 guests at the absolutely gorgeous Lochrin Estate and Gardens over in Mull. They want you to win a wedding at that premises, but also the proceeds of the draw do go to the development and support of all Leitrim football teams at all levels, and we do need to really row in behind Terry Hyland and his team over the coming weeks to put up the best possible show at all levels, senior, under 20, the hurlers, and everybody else involved in terms of representing the county at national level for us. Derek, it's been a pleasure as always. I'm sure it won't be long before we see you again, and enjoy the barbecues and everything else you got planned for the good weather. Make sure to wear some sunscreen. I got burnt myself over the weekend. Your face looks like it could do with a little bit of a cooling down. You've been burnt yourself to a crisp.
No, Breifne, you have to get, it's not advised, but a little bit of sunstroke has been so long since we got it, and it's great. Yeah, I'll be back in training for it's the reserves, is it? Or is that what we're called? We used to be the juniors, but the reserve 3 or something like that. I don't understand it, but if there's a game on a Sunday morning, I'll be there. Tip-top shape, Zoom training all the way.
Listen, Derek, we'll talk to you again very shortly.
Cheers. Thank you, Breifne.